What if I told you that the moment everything changed for you was already behind you? You're watching this because something inside you knows it's time. Time to stop pretending. Time to stop waiting. Time to finally do something. One step at a time, rebuild your life with discipline, focus, and unshakable commitment, by Nolan Kade. Life doesn't change overnight. But you can. If you've hit rock bottom. If you feel lost, broken, or like you've forgotten who you used to be. This book wasn't written for casual readers looking for a quick motivational fix. It was written for the person who's ready to take real action. Who's tired of empty affirmations and fake motivation. Who's ready to face the truth. And build something real, from discipline. From commitment. From doing the hard things, even when you don't feel like it. Each chapter is a building block. A mindset shift. A tool. A step forward, no matter how small. Because rebuilding your life isn't about grand gestures. It's about one step. Then another. Then another. And soon, you're not just surviving. You're returning to yourself, stronger. Clearer. Unshakable. So if you're serious about change, not someday. Not maybe. But right now. Tap the link in the description. Get your copy of One Step at a Time and let's begin, together. Chapter 1. Get real with yourself and face the truth. There comes a moment in life, sometimes quiet, sometimes explosive, when we can no longer ignore the truth about ourselves. It might arrive as a whisper late at night when the world is still, or it might crash through the surface like a tidal wave, leaving everything in our lives shaken. That moment is not always comfortable. In fact, it's often painful. But it is powerful. And it is necessary. You don't change your life by running from the truth. You change it when you look straight at it and say, this is where I am, and I don't want to stay here anymore. That's where it all begins, the moment of decision. Not blame. Not guilt. Just clarity. We live in a culture that prefers comfort over truth. We're taught to avoid pain, to cushion our feelings, to find quick fixes for deep wounds. But real transformation doesn't come from distraction or denial. It comes from facing reality head-on, even when it hurts. Even when it forces us to confront parts of ourselves we'd rather forget. Because pretending doesn't solve anything. Hiding behind excuses only delays the breakthrough. If you're at rock bottom, you need clarity more than comfort. Let's be honest, rock bottom isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's not a single fall, but a slow erosion. A steady decline masked by distractions, routines, and justifications. One day, you wake up and realize you've been living on autopilot. The job you once loved feels like a prison sentence. The relationships that used to bring joy now feel hollow. The dreams you had for yourself seem impossibly far away. And yet, you keep going. You smile when you should scream. You nod when you should walk away. You tell yourself things are fine because the alternative, that you've wasted years, that you've made mistakes, that you've failed, is too heavy to carry. But here's the thing, you can't move forward if you won't look back. Facing the truth is not about punishing yourself for the past. It's about freeing yourself from its grip. It's about owning your choices, recognizing your patterns, and taking responsibility, not just for what happened, but for what happens next. Take a deep breath. Let yourself see clearly. What brought you to this place? Was it fear? Complacency? Poor decisions? Bad luck? Maybe it was a combination of all of them. Maybe it was something deeper, a belief system that told you weren't enough, that you had to settle, that your voice didn't matter. Or maybe it was a series of small betrayals, of your values, your time, your potential, that added up until they became impossible to ignore. Whatever it was, it's okay. You were doing the best you could with what you knew then. But now you know better. And knowing better means you have a choice. You can continue down the same path, hoping things will somehow improve without effort or intention. Or you can stop pretending and start changing. Owning your story takes courage. It requires honesty that cuts deeper than surface-level reflection. It demands that you ask yourself hard questions. What am I afraid to admit? Where have I compromised my truth? Who have I become, and who did I used to dream of being? What habits, relationships, or beliefs are holding me back? What part of this mess did I create, and what can I learn from it? These aren't easy questions. They're the kind that keep people awake at night. But they're also the kind that lead to freedom. Because once you face the truth, you stop being controlled by it. When you stop avoiding reality, you begin to reclaim your power. You stop blaming others for your circumstances. You stop waiting for someone else to fix things. You stop making excuses and start making changes. Clarity doesn't come from wishing things were different. It comes from seeing things exactly as they are. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe your marriage ended. Maybe you ignored your health for too long. Maybe you gave away your power in exchange for approval. Maybe you built your identity around things that turned out to be temporary. It doesn't matter how you got here. What matters is what you do now. The truth may sting, but it's not the enemy. Denial is. Because denial keeps you stuck in cycles of pain, confusion, and disappointment. It keeps you repeating the same mistakes, expecting different results. It keeps you trapped in a version of yourself that no longer serves you. But when you choose to get real with yourself, to look in the mirror and say, "This is where I am, and I don't want to stay here anymore," something shifts. Suddenly, you're not a victim of your circumstances. You're an architect of your future. You start asking new questions. What do I truly want? Who do I want to become? What steps can I take today to move closer to that vision? What do I need to let go of in order to grow? These are the kinds of questions that build momentum. They don't offer instant gratification, but they open the door to lasting change. Getting real with yourself is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Some days, the truth will be uncomfortable. Other days, it will surprise you with how much peace it brings. Either way, it will always set you free. So take a step back. Take a deep breath. Look at your life with clear eyes. Where are you lying to yourself? Where have you stopped growing? What are you avoiding? And most importantly, what are you ready to change? Because once you face the truth, you stop being controlled by it. And that's how rebuilding starts. Chapter 2, Remove distractions and focus fully on your life. It's easy to believe that time is on your side. That there will always be another day, another week, another year to finally do what you've been meaning to do, start over, break free, build something real. But the truth is, time doesn't wait. It moves forward whether you're ready or not. And most people? They're not moving with it. They're standing still, caught in the whirlwind of distractions that fill their days but leave their lives empty. Social media notifications, endless scrolling, meaningless conversations, obligations they never wanted, relationships that drain more than they give, habits that keep them small. These things don't just take up space, they steal momentum. They pull focus away from what truly matters and scatter it across 1,000 little things that lead nowhere. You can't build a better future when your attention is pulled in 10 directions that lead nowhere. Most people stay stuck not because they don't want a better life, but because they're too distracted to focus on it. They dream big at night and waste their days. They set goals in January and forget them by February. They talk about change, but rarely make space for it. Because here's the uncomfortable truth, you are not overwhelmed because you have too much to do. You're overwhelmed because you haven't decided what truly deserves your energy. Your time is limited. Once it's gone, it's gone. If distractions steal your time today, they're stealing opportunities that could have changed everything. Let that sink in. Think about how many hours you've wasted this week, how many minutes lost to mindless scrolling, to watching other people live their best lives while yours remains untouched. How many conversations left you feeling more drained than inspired? How many commitments were made out of obligation, not intention? Distraction is the enemy of growth. And if you want to create a life that reflects who you really are, and who you want to become, you must start by removing what keeps you from doing the work. The cost of scattered attention. There was a time when distraction meant flipping through channels on TV or zoning out during a boring meeting. Now, we carry distractions in our pockets, literally. We're constantly bombarded with messages, updates, alerts, and entertainment designed to hijack our attention. And we let them. We tell ourselves we can multitask. That we can scroll while thinking, chat while creating, watch while working. But science tells us otherwise. Our brains weren't built for constant switching. Every time we shift focus, we lose clarity, productivity, and energy. And over time, that adds up. What happens when you spend years living like this, scattered, reactive, unfocused? You stop making progress. You settle into patterns that feel familiar, even if they're unfulfilling. You look around one day and wonder where the time went. How did I get here? Why haven't things changed? Because you gave your attention to everything except what mattered. Distractions are comfort zones in disguise. Distractions aren't always loud and flashy. Sometimes they're quiet, sneaky things that masquerade as normalcy. A habit you've kept for years because it's easy. A relationship you stay in because being alone feels scarier than being unhappy. A job that barely pays enough to cover rent, but at least it's predictable. These are distractions too. They keep you from facing the discomfort of change. From asking the hard questions. From stepping into the unknown. Because distraction isn't just about noise, it's about avoiding what needs to be done. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from facing what you've been avoiding. And that's how you reclaim your power, one distraction at a time. The art of cutting out the noise. Removing distractions isn't about punishment. It's about protection. It's about recognizing that your focus is your most valuable asset, and deciding that no one and nothing gets to steal it without your permission. Start by identifying what pulls your attention away from what matters. What steals your time? What interrupts your peace? What keeps you playing small? Ask yourself, what apps or websites consume my attention without giving anything back? Who in my life consistently leaves me feeling worse instead of better? What routines or habits do I follow out of habit rather than purpose? What obligations am I holding on to simply because I said yes once? Once you know what's pulling you off course, make a decision. Will I continue to allow this to control my energy, or will I remove it and make space for what truly matters? Sometimes, cutting out distractions means deleting an app. Other times, it means walking away from a conversation, setting a boundary, or letting go of a role that no longer fits. It might mean turning down invitations, saying no more often, or choosing silence over noise. Whatever it takes, do it. Protect your focus like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Reclaim your time, reclaim your power. When you stop wasting your time on distractions, you begin to notice something powerful happening. You gain clarity. You start seeing your life more clearly. You realize how much of your energy has been spent on things that don't align with your values, your goals, or your truth. And with that awareness comes freedom. Suddenly, you're not just going through the motions. You're making choices. You're showing up fully for the moments that matter. You're investing your time in what actually builds the life you want, not the one you settled for. This isn't about becoming perfect or eliminating all distractions forever. It's about intentionality. It's about choosing, again and again, to give your energy only to what serves your growth. Because here's the thing, you won't find the life you want while chasing after everything else. You'll find it when you remove the noise. When you cut the clutter. When you protect your time fiercely and use it wisely. You'll find it when you stop waiting for the right moment and start creating it, by focusing fully on your life, your goals, and your truth. So take a deep breath. Look at your calendar. Your phone. Your relationships. Your habits. What needs to go? What deserves your full attention? And what are you willing to cut so you can finally move forward? Because if you want to build a better future, you must first clear the path. Remove the distractions. Focus fully on your life. And then, finally, begin. Chapter 3. Take control of your mornings and stop wasting time. The alarm rings. You hit snooze. 5 more minutes turn into 10. Then 20. You finally drag yourself out of bed, rushed, groggy, already behind before your day has even begun. You grab your phone. Scroll through messages, emails, social media, none of it urgent, but all of it distracting. Breakfast? Skipped. Exercise? Not today. Planning your day? Not even considered. And just like that, you've lost control. You start the day reacting instead of acting. You let outside forces pull you in every direction before you've even had a moment to ground yourself. And as the hours pass, you wonder why you feel off track, overwhelmed, or unmotivated. Here's the truth: nothing changes until your mornings change. How you start determines how you move forward. Think of your morning like the first step on a long journey. If you start off unprepared, without clear direction, energy, or purpose, you'll likely stumble along the way. But if you begin with intention, clarity, and action, you set yourself up for momentum. The way you start your morning shapes everything that follows. If your day begins with confusion, delay, or laziness, the rest of the day rarely turns out any better. You'll spend it playing catch-up, feeling scattered, and wondering where your time went. But people who win the day don't do it by accident. They create structure. They know what needs to happen, and they act, whether they feel ready or not. They understand that success isn't always about being inspired. It's about showing up, making decisions, and doing the work even when motivation is missing. And it starts with the morning. The difference between surviving and thriving. Most people waste their mornings and wonder why they're always behind. They rush through the day because they started it with no direction. They jump from task to task without a plan, responding to whatever demands their attention first. This kind of living doesn't lead to progress, it leads to exhaustion. You can survive like this for a while. Maybe even years. But you won't thrive. You won't grow. You won't build the life you want. Because real growth happens when you take control of your time, not when you hand it over to distractions, obligations, or old habits. Your morning routine is one of the most powerful tools you have for creating lasting change. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about choosing, every single day, to start with intention rather than reaction. Wake up with purpose. Build a morning that reflects the life you're trying to build. Show up for yourself before the world pulls you in every direction. Because if you don't own your morning, someone else will. The morning that builds the life you want. What does your ideal morning look like? Maybe it starts with silence, just a few quiet moments before the noise of the world begins. Maybe it includes movement, stretching, or exercise that wakes up your body and sharpens your mind. Maybe it involves writing down your goals, reading something inspiring, or planning your day with clarity. Whatever it looks like, your morning should be a reflection of the person you're becoming, not just the person you've been. Too many people treat their mornings like an afterthought. They wake up late, scramble to get ready, and dive headfirst into chaos. They believe they'll get serious about change later, next week, next month, once things settle down. But there is no perfect time. There is only now. And how you choose to use your mornings right now will determine the trajectory of your life moving forward. Think about it. Would you show up to a job interview in pajamas, with messy hair, and no preparation? Probably not. You'd dress the part. You'd speak with confidence. You'd arrive early, ready to impress. So why would you show up to your own life any differently? Every morning is an opportunity to impress yourself. To prove to yourself that you are capable. That you are committed. That you are willing to do the work, even when no one is watching. That's how you build self-respect. That's how you build results. Creating a morning routine that works for you. There's no one-size-fits-all formula for a perfect morning. Some people thrive with early workouts. Others need quiet reflection or journaling to center themselves. Some prefer structure, others need flexibility. What matters is that your morning routine supports the life you want to live, not the life you've settled for. Start small. Don't overwhelm yourself with too many changes at once. Pick one thing you can do each morning that brings you closer to the version of yourself you admire. Maybe it's waking up at the same time every day. Maybe it's drinking water before coffee. Maybe it's taking 5 deep breaths before checking your phone. Maybe it's writing down 3 things you're grateful for. These small choices compound over time. And soon, they become habits. And those habits become your new normal. Ask yourself, what do I want my mornings to reflect? What habits will help me show up stronger for myself and others? What can I remove from my morning that doesn't serve me? What can I add that gives me energy and clarity? Be honest. Be intentional. And above all, be consistent. Because discipline builds confidence. And confidence builds momentum. The power of showing up first. One of the most overlooked truths in personal growth is this: you must show up for yourself before anyone else. Before you answer emails, before you respond to messages, before you pour into others, you must pour into yourself. That means protecting your morning. It means prioritizing your well-being, your mindset, and your goals. It means creating space for stillness, reflection, and action. It's not selfish. It's necessary. When you invest in your morning, you invest in your entire day. You give yourself a foundation to stand on. A sense of control. A rhythm that carries you forward. And over time, that rhythm becomes your strength. People often ask, how do I find the motivation to change? But the answer isn't found in waiting for inspiration. It's found in showing up, early, tired, unsure, but still showing up. Motivation comes after action, not before. So if you want to change your life, start by changing your mornings. Because nothing changes until your mornings change. Chapter 4, Fix your habits before they keep ruining everything. You don't fail because of one big mistake. You fail because of the small, repeated ones. The life you're living right now, the results you're getting, the feelings you're carrying, the level of success or struggle, is not the result of a single event. It's the sum of your habits. The things you do every day without thinking. The choices that seem minor in the moment but compound over time into massive consequences. Your habits, good or bad, are the foundation of everything you experience. They determine whether you move forward or stay stuck. Whether you feel strong or drained. Whether you grow or shrink. Whether you build the life you want or settle for something far less. Most people underestimate the power of daily actions. They wait for dramatic moments of transformation, a new job, a breakup, a miracle weight loss, a viral post, to believe that real change has happened. But the truth is, big change doesn't come from big events. It comes from the little decisions made every single day. It comes from what you choose to do when no one is watching. The quiet destruction of bad habits. Let's talk about the habits that are quietly ruining your life. Not the extreme ones, the addictions, the reckless behaviors, but the subtle, everyday patterns that slowly erode your potential. Hitting snooze instead of rising with purpose. Reaching for your phone before your feet even touch the floor. Skipping workouts because you're too tired or too busy. Eating poorly out of habit, not hunger. Procrastinating on the work that matters most. Letting distractions consume your attention while your goals sit untouched. These aren't catastrophic failures. They're tiny, almost invisible choices. But they matter more than you think. Because every time you make them, you reinforce a pattern. You train yourself to be lazy, distracted, reactive, and inconsistent. You practice failure, not on purpose, but through repetition. And that becomes your life. You may tell yourself, it's just one day. Or I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow rarely comes if you keep giving in today. And after enough tomorrows, you begin to believe that maybe you're not capable of change after all. That's how habits ruin lives, not with a bang, but with a whisper. The power of small, consistent choices. On the flip side, good habits have the same compounding effect, but in the opposite direction. Getting up when you meant to. Moving your body even when you don't feel like it. Drinking water instead of coffee. Saying no to distractions so you can say yes to progress. Writing down your thoughts instead of scrolling endlessly. Making time for rest instead of burning yourself out. These aren't flashy changes. No one will write a headline about you making your bed in the morning or going to sleep at a reasonable hour. But these small, consistent choices build momentum. They create structure. They shape identity. Because here's the thing, habits don't just shape your behavior, they shape who you believe yourself to be. When you consistently act like someone who shows up on time, takes care of their health, respects their time, and follows through, you become that person. And once you believe in who you've become, there's no turning back. Identify what needs to change. So where do you start? By being brutally honest with yourself. Ask, what habits am I currently practicing that are keeping me small? Don't look away. Don't justify. Don't minimize. Be honest. Are you wasting hours on social media that could be used for learning or creating? Do you constantly procrastinate on the work that would actually move your life forward? Do you ignore your health until it breaks down? Are you allowing negativity, gossip, or toxic relationships to shape your mindset? Do you let laziness win more often than effort? Write it down. Name it. Own it. Because you can't fix what you won't face. Once you've identified the habits that are holding you back, replace them with ones that support your goals. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. One better choice at a time. If you scroll first thing in the morning, replace that with journaling or reading. If you skip workouts, replace that with putting on your shoes and walking, even for 10 minutes. If you eat mindlessly, replace that with drinking water and asking yourself if you're truly hungry. Small shifts lead to big results. Be ruthless with what doesn't serve you. Changing your habits requires discipline. And discipline requires sacrifice. You have to be willing to give up comfort. To stop doing what feels easy in the moment for what will serve you in the long run. That means cutting out the things that pull you backward. That drain your energy. That distract you from your goals. Be ruthless. Delete apps that waste your time. Set boundaries with people who bring you down. Say no to obligations that don't align with your priorities. Stop filling your space with clutter, physical, mental, emotional. Protect your energy. Protect your time. Protect your peace. Because nothing changes until you change what you do every day. Consistency is the real game changer. Motivation fades. Inspiration comes and goes. But consistency builds a life. You don't need to overhaul everything overnight. You just need to show up each day and make one better choice than you did yesterday. Start small. Focus on one habit at a time. Master it. Make it automatic. Then move on to the next. Over time, those habits stack. They compound. They transform you. And suddenly, you're not struggling anymore. You're not waiting for motivation. You're not hoping for change. You're living it. Because you built it, one small, powerful habit at a time. Final thought, your habits are your future. Your life is not determined by luck or circumstance. It's determined by what you do every single day, whether you realize it or not. So ask yourself, what habits am I reinforcing right now? Am I building myself up or breaking myself down? Who do I want to become, and what habits will get me there? Then commit to changing what needs to change. Because nothing changes until you change what you do every day. Fix your habits before they keep ruining everything. Because the life you want isn't built through grand gestures. It's built through daily discipline. And that starts today. Chapter 5. Start doing the hard things you always avoid. There's a voice inside all of us that knows exactly what we need to do, but chooses not to do it. It's not because we're lazy or broken. It's because what needs to be done feels too hard, too risky, or too uncertain. That voice tells us to wait until we feel ready, until the timing is perfect, until fear goes away. But here's the truth, the life you want is waiting behind the hard things you keep avoiding. You can read all the books, listen to all the speeches, set all the goals, and still never move an inch. Because knowledge without action doesn't change your life. Only doing what's difficult does. And if you keep avoiding the hard things, you'll stay stuck in the same place forever. The cost of avoidance. Avoidance feels safe in the moment. It gives you temporary relief from discomfort, uncertainty, and fear. But over time, it builds something far worse than what you were trying to escape: regret. Regret for the conversations you didn't have. The opportunities you let pass. The risks you didn't take. The decisions you kept delaying. The dreams you buried under excuses. Avoidance doesn't protect you, it imprisons you. The longer you put off what must be done, the bigger and scarier it becomes. Your mind turns small challenges into impossible obstacles. You imagine failure before you even try. You create stories about what might go wrong, and then you live inside those stories like they're facts. But here's the secret: the fear is louder than the reality. Most of what you fear won't happen. And even if it does, you'll survive. You'll learn. You'll grow stronger. Because the truth is, you don't avoid things because they're impossible. You avoid them because they're uncomfortable. And that's a completely different thing. Lean into discomfort. Growth lives on the other side of fear. Every time you do something difficult, you expand your capacity for resilience, confidence, and self-trust. You prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought possible. So lean into discomfort. Do the hard conversation. Make the tough decision. Take the challenge head-on, even when you're afraid. Because nothing meaningful ever comes from staying in your comfort zone. Your comfort zone was built by past versions of yourself who didn't know what you now know. It's outdated. It no longer serves you. And if you stay there too long, it will begin to shrink your potential instead of protecting it. Let that sink in. If you only do what feels easy, you will never become what you're capable of becoming. The hard things are what build you. You are not defined by what you want, you are defined by what you're willing to do to get it. Wanting is free. Wanting feels good. Wanting keeps you dreaming. But doing? That's where the real work begins. And the doing always includes some level of difficulty. Maybe it's waking up early when your body wants to sleep in. Maybe it's walking away from a relationship that no longer serves you. Maybe it's starting a business with no guarantee of success. Maybe it's asking for help when pride says you should struggle alone. These are the hard things. And these are the very things that shape your character, your strength, and your future. Don't wait to feel ready. Act while you're afraid. That's how you rise. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in spite of it. Practical ways to start doing the hard things. Knowing that you should do hard things is one thing. Actually doing them is another. Here are practical ways to start building the habit of facing what you've been avoiding. 1. Break it down. Big tasks feel overwhelming. So break them into smaller steps. Don't focus on the whole mountain, just take the first step. Then the next. Momentum builds quickly once you start moving. 2. Set a timer. Tell yourself you'll work on the hard thing for just 10 minutes. Often, once you begin, the resistance fades and you'll keep going. Action creates its own motivation. 3. Schedule it. Put the hard task on your calendar like any important meeting. Treat it with the same seriousness. Show up for yourself like you would show up for someone else. 4. Remove excuses. Ask yourself, what am I using as an excuse to delay this? Lack of time? Not enough knowledge? Fear of failure? Identify the excuse, then find a way around it. 5. Do it first. Make the hard thing the first item on your to-do list. Don't wait until you feel like it. Just do it. Once it's done, the rest of your day feels lighter. 6. Visualize success. Before you start, picture yourself having completed the task. Imagine how it feels to have faced the fear and come out stronger. Use that vision as fuel. 7. Celebrate small wins. Each time you face a fear or complete a difficult task, acknowledge it. Celebrate it. Reinforce the belief that you are someone who does hard things. The more hard things you do, the stronger you become. Every time you choose action over avoidance, you build mental muscle. You strengthen your ability to handle pressure, uncertainty, and discomfort. And the more hard things you do, the less power fear has over you. Soon, what once seemed terrifying becomes routine. What used to stop you in your tracks becomes just another step forward. That's how you rise, not through grand gestures, but through consistent acts of courage. You don't have to be fearless to lead a powerful life. You just have to keep choosing to do what's hard, even when fear shows up. Because courage isn't bravery. Courage is showing up anyway. Final thought, stop waiting. Start now. You may never feel fully ready. That's normal. Everyone feels fear before taking action. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is simple: one group decides to act anyway. So ask yourself, what am I avoiding? Why am I avoiding it? What's the cost of waiting? What's the reward of doing it now? Then take one step, no matter how small. Start doing the hard things you've been putting off. Not someday. Not later. Now. Because the life you want isn't waiting for you to feel comfortable. It's waiting for you to act. And every time you do, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you imagined. Don't wait to feel ready. Act while you're afraid. That's how you rise. Chapter 6. Build structure in your day and follow it daily. Wanting change isn't enough. You've probably felt it before, the deep desire to be more productive, to feel more in control, to finally make progress on the goals that have been sitting untouched for months or even years. You want to be healthier, wealthier, calmer, more focused, more fulfilled. But wanting doesn't build a better life. Only action does. And action only happens when you give your day structure. Without structure, you drift. You lose time to things that don't matter. You repeat yesterday. And then the next day looks just like the one before it. No movement. No growth. Just the illusion of effort without real results. Your life won't change just because you want it to. It changes when you give it structure. The freedom that comes from structure. Most people think structure is restrictive. They imagine rigid schedules, strict rules, and no room for spontaneity. But the truth is, structure doesn't limit freedom, it creates it. Think of it like building a house. Without walls, windows, and a roof, you don't have a home, you have chaos. Structure gives shape to your life. It defines boundaries. It creates space for purpose, growth, and peace. Structure allows you to stop reacting to whatever comes at you and start directing your energy toward what matters most. It's the difference between waking up and immediately getting pulled into the noise of the world, and waking up with a clear plan for how you'll spend your time, energy, and attention. When you have structure, you're not guessing what to do next. You're not wasting time deciding whether to work out, eat well, or focus on your goals. You already know. Because you planned ahead. That's how you gain control over your life. Structure isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. Let's get something straight, you don't need to be perfect to benefit from structure. In fact, perfection is the enemy of progress. If you wait until everything is perfectly aligned, until you feel completely ready, motivated, or inspired, you'll never begin. Structure isn't about flawless execution. It's about consistency. It's about having a plan that leads to progress, and following it even when you don't feel like it. Because here's the reality, some days you won't feel like sticking to your schedule. Some days you'll want to skip the workout, ignore the important task, or scroll instead of create. That's normal. But structure helps you move forward anyway. It gives you a blueprint for your day so you're not making decisions based on mood or convenience. It keeps you grounded when distractions try to pull you off course. It reminds you where you're going, even when you don't feel like moving. And over time, that kind of consistency builds momentum. It builds discipline. It builds results. Define your priorities. The first step to building structure is defining what truly matters to you. Ask yourself, what are my top priorities right now? What tasks contribute most to my goals? What habits support the person I want to become? Be honest. Be specific. Don't just list what should be important, list what actually moves the needle in your life. Once you know what matters, build your schedule around those priorities, not the other way around. Don't let your calendar fill up with obligations that don't align with your goals. Don't let distractions take precedence over what truly deserves your time. Protect your energy. Protect your focus. Protect your future. Schedule your key tasks. Now that you know what matters, it's time to schedule it. Too many people leave their most important tasks to chance. They say they'll get to it later or find time when things settle down. But later rarely comes. And things rarely settle down. If you want to make progress, schedule your key tasks like appointments with yourself. Put them on your calendar. Treat them with seriousness. Show up for them. This could mean setting aside time each morning for planning, writing, or learning. It could mean blocking out an hour for deep work without interruptions. It could mean dedicating evenings to reflection or connection instead of mindless scrolling. Whatever your priorities are, give them space in your day. Because if you don't schedule them, someone else will schedule you out of them. Protect your time like it's your most valuable asset. Your time is limited. Once it's gone, it's gone. And yet, most people treat it like an unlimited resource. They say yes to everything. They respond to every message instantly. They allow others to dictate their schedules while their own goals sit untouched. If you want to build a better life, you must learn to protect your time fiercely. Start by asking yourself, what am I spending time on that doesn't serve me? Who drains my energy without giving anything back? What commitments can I reduce or eliminate? Then take action. Say no more often. Set boundaries. Turn off notifications during focused work. Remove unnecessary apps. Create space for silence, reflection, and rest. Because structure isn't just about filling your day with tasks, it's about creating balance. It's about knowing when to push forward and when to pause. When to work hard and when to recharge. When to give and when to protect your energy. Balance is part of structure, too. Follow through, even when motivation fades. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is lasting. Some days, you'll feel energized and excited to follow your routine. Other days, you'll feel tired, distracted, or unmotivated. That's okay. What matters is that you follow through anyway. Because structure only works if you stick with it, even when you don't feel like it. Show up. Do the work. Keep your promises to yourself. Every time you do, you reinforce a powerful belief: I am someone who follows through. That belief becomes your identity. And once you see yourself that way, there's no turning back. Final thought: structure builds the life you want. Your future is shaped by how you spend your days. If you continue drifting, reacting to whatever comes your way, losing time to distractions, repeating the same patterns, you'll continue getting the same results. But if you build structure into your daily life, your future begins to reflect that. You start making progress. You start gaining control. You start living with intention. So define your priorities. Schedule your key tasks. Protect your time. Create balance. Follow through. Because structure gives you control. And when your days are built with intention, your future starts to reflect that. Start today. Build structure. Follow it daily. And watch your life begin to change. Chapter 7. Improve your mindset by working on it every day. Your mind is the engine behind everything you do. It decides whether you take action or stay stuck. Whether you see opportunity or only obstacles. Whether you believe in yourself or talk yourself out of your own potential. If your mindset is weak, filled with doubt, excuses, or limiting beliefs, your life will reflect that. You'll feel unmotivated, overwhelmed, and powerless. You'll struggle to make decisions, push through challenges, or build momentum. But here's the good news. Mindset isn't fixed. It's not something you're simply born with and stuck with forever. It's shaped by what you feed it, how you challenge it, and what you allow yourself to believe. And just like your body needs exercise to grow stronger, your mind needs training to become resilient, focused, and powerful. The power of daily mental training. You wouldn't expect to run a marathon without training. You wouldn't lift heavy weights without first building strength. And yet, many people expect to handle life's biggest challenges without ever strengthening their minds. That's why working on your mindset must be a daily practice, not an occasional thought when things go wrong. Because mindset doesn't change overnight. It changes through consistent effort. Through small, intentional actions that shape the way you think, feel, and respond to life. Work on your mindset daily. Reflect. Journal. Protect your mental space. Speak strength into your day. These are not fluffy affirmations or wishful thinking. They are tools, powerful ones, that help you build a foundation strong enough to carry you through any storm. What you feed your mind shapes your reality. Think about what you consume every day. What kind of news do you read? What conversations do you have? What do you scroll through online? Who do you spend time with? All of these influence your mindset, whether you realize it or not. If your mind is constantly flooded with negativity, fear, and distractions, that becomes your default setting. You start seeing problems everywhere. You begin expecting failure instead of success. You stop taking risks because your brain has been trained to look for danger, not opportunity. But if you intentionally feed your mind with wisdom, inspiration, and truth, your perspective begins to shift. You start seeing possibilities instead of limitations. You become more solution-focused and complaint-driven. You learn to trust yourself again, even when things get hard. What you feed your mind determines how you live your life. So ask yourself, am I feeding my mind strength or weakness? Am I filling my thoughts with growth or limitation? Am I allowing noise to control my energy, or am I curating peace? Choose carefully. Because what you focus on grows. Protecting your mental space is non-negotiable. In today's world, your mental space is under constant attack. Notifications, messages, expectations, obligations, comparisons, and opinions all compete for your attention. And if you don't protect your mind, someone else will fill it with their agenda. Protect your mental space like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Set boundaries around what you allow into your consciousness. Limit exposure to people, places, and content that drain you emotionally or distort your sense of self-worth. Create space for silence. For reflection. For stillness. These moments aren't wasted, they're where clarity is born. When you guard your mind, you create room for focus, peace, and purpose. You give yourself the chance to think clearly, act intentionally, and live powerfully. How to train your mind like a champion. Training your body takes consistency. So does training your mind. Here are practical ways to strengthen your mindset every single day. 1. Start with reflection. Take a few minutes each morning to set the tone for your day. Ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? What is one thing I can improve? What mindset do I want to carry with me? Reflection helps you stay grounded and intentional. 2. Journal regularly. Writing down your thoughts is one of the most powerful ways to understand your patterns, release emotional weight, and track progress. Use journaling to process difficult experiences, celebrate wins, and clarify your goals. Over time, you'll notice shifts in how you interpret setbacks and opportunities. 3. Speak strength into your day. The words you say to yourself matter more than you think. Replace negative self-talk with empowering statements. Instead of "I can't," try "I'm learning." Instead of "I'm not good enough," say "I'm growing." Language shapes belief. And belief shapes reality. 4. Practice visualization. Spend a few minutes visualizing success. Picture yourself overcoming obstacles, speaking confidently, making bold decisions. Visualization trains your brain to believe in your capabilities before you even attempt them. 5. Surround yourself with growth-oriented people. You become like the people you spend the most time with. Choose to be around those who challenge you, inspire you, and support your growth. Avoid those who constantly complain, blame, or discourage forward motion. 6. Learn something new every day. Read books. Listen to podcasts. Take courses. Engage with ideas that expand your thinking. A growing mind is a strong mind. And a strong mind builds a strong life. A strong mindset doesn't come from always being positive. Let's clear up a common misconception. A strong mindset is not about being positive all the time. That's unrealistic and, frankly, unhealthy. Real strength comes from being prepared. From handling pressure without breaking. From facing hardship with resilience and clarity. It means accepting that some days will be hard. That you'll feel discouraged, tired, or uncertain. But instead of giving into those feelings, you keep moving forward. Because mindset isn't about feeling strong, it's about acting strong, even when you don't. Final thought, build your inner world to transform your outer one. You cannot build a life you love without first building a mind that believes it's possible. Your outer world reflects your inner state. If your mind is scattered, so is your life. If your mind is weak, so is your ability to handle adversity. But if your mind is trained, focused, and disciplined, you become unstoppable. So commit to improving your mindset every single day. Train your mind like you would train your body. Every day. Without fail. Because real transformation starts within. And once your mindset changes, everything else follows. Chapter 8. Show up even when nothing feels good at all. There are days when nothing feels right. Your body feels heavy. Your mind feels foggy. The weight of everything seems too much. You wake up without energy, without motivation, without a single spark of inspiration. It's not just one bad thing, it's everything. And on those days, the idea of pushing forward feels impossible. But here's the truth. On those days, showing up matters the most. Anyone can show up when life feels good. When the sun is shining, when things are going your way, when you're inspired and excited. But real strength isn't built in those moments. It's built in the hard ones. It's built when you choose to move forward even when everything inside you wants to stop. Because only the strong keep going when everything feels off. The hardest days build the strongest versions of yourself. You don't grow when everything is easy. You grow when you face discomfort. When you push through fatigue. When you keep going even when you don't feel like it. Growth doesn't come from comfort zones. It comes from breaking through them. And some of the most powerful breakthroughs happen on the worst days, when you least want to try but do it anyway. Those are the days that shape your character. That build your resilience. That prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought possible. So ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? Do I want to be someone who quits when it gets hard? Or do I want to be someone who keeps their word to themselves, even when they don't feel like it? The answer determines everything. Because real confidence doesn't come from feeling good all the time. Real confidence comes from doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Push through the worst moments. Motivation fades. Emotions shift. Energy comes and goes. But discipline? Discipline is what carries you forward when everything else fails. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You don't need to wait for inspiration to strike. All you need is the decision to show up. Push through the worst moments. Follow through even when you don't feel like it. Even if you start small. Even if you feel broken. Even if you're barely moving forward, just keep going. Because momentum builds from movement. One step leads to another. One action leads to another. One day of showing up becomes 2. Then 3. Then 10. And suddenly, you've built something powerful, consistency. Keep your word to yourself, not because it feels good, but because it's right. You make promises every day. To yourself. To others. Some you keep. Some you break. But there's one promise that matters more than any other, the promise to show up for yourself, even when it hurts. Most people give up because it doesn't feel good. They skip the workout. They avoid the difficult conversation. They put off the work that matters most. They tell themselves it's okay. That tomorrow will be better. That they'll try again later. But later rarely comes. That's why the most important habit you can build is keeping your word to yourself, not because it feels good, but because it's right. When you commit to showing up, no matter how you feel, you build trust with yourself. You begin to believe in your own strength. In your ability to handle anything. In your power to keep going, no matter what. And once you start trusting yourself, everything changes. How to show up even when you don't feel like it. Showing up doesn't mean forcing yourself into burnout or ignoring pain. It means making a conscious choice to take action, even when you don't feel like it. Here are practical ways to help you stay consistent, even on the hardest days. 1. Start small. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for progress. Do just 5 minutes of the task. Take one small step. Often, momentum kicks in and carries you further than you expected. 2. Focus on the why. Ask yourself, why does this matter? Why did I start this in the first place? Reconnect with your purpose. Let it pull you forward when your emotions try to hold you back. 3. Use accountability. Tell someone about your commitment. Post your goal publicly. Hire a coach. Join a group. Having external accountability increases the likelihood that you'll follow through, even when you don't feel like it. 4. Make it non-negotiable. Treat your commitments like appointments. If you had a meeting with someone important, would you cancel last minute? Probably not. Treat your goals the same way. 5. Track your progress. Write down what you accomplish each day, even if it's small. Seeing progress over time reinforces your belief that you can keep going. 6. Celebrate effort. You don't have to win to deserve recognition. Celebrate the fact that you showed up. That you kept your word. That you chose growth over comfort. 7. Be kind to yourself. Showing up doesn't mean being harsh with yourself. Speak to yourself like you would to a friend who's struggling. Encourage yourself. Support yourself. Be your own strongest ally. The power of showing up anyway. There will always be days when you don't feel like doing the work. When you'd rather quit than keep going. When everything feels wrong and nothing makes sense. But those days don't define you. What defines you is what you choose to do in spite of how you feel. Because showing up anyway is the ultimate act of courage. It proves that you're not ruled by your emotions. You're not controlled by your moods. You're not held back by temporary setbacks. You are guided by purpose. By discipline. By integrity. And that makes all the difference. Final thought, show up for yourself every single day. You won't always feel like doing the work. You won't always be motivated. You won't always have the energy. But you can always choose to show up. Because showing up is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's the gap between dreaming and doing. Between wanting and achieving. Between giving up and growing stronger. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Show up now. Even when nothing feels good at all. Because that's how you rise. Chapter 9. Be consistent with small wins until you feel stronger. Progress doesn't happen overnight. You won't wake up one day suddenly strong, confident, or disciplined, no matter how much you wish it were true. Real change is slow. It's subtle. It's built not through dramatic transformations but through small, repeated actions that shape who you become over time. Strength isn't built in a week. Confidence doesn't appear just because you want it to. And discipline doesn't show up after a single act of willpower. Everything you're trying to become starts with the small things you choose to do every single day. It starts with showing up, even when no one is watching. Even when it feels insignificant. Even when you don't see results yet. Because small wins stack up over time. They build momentum. They create habits. They shift your identity. And before you know it, you're someone different, not because of one big success, but because of thousands of tiny victories. The quiet power of small actions. Maybe it's drinking water first thing in the morning instead of reaching for coffee. Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a book instead of scrolling mindlessly. Maybe it's getting out of bed at the first alarm instead of hitting snooze. Maybe it's doing 5 minutes of stretching when your body wants to stay stiff. These may seem like small choices, but they are anything but minor. Each one sends a powerful message to your mind. I'm not staying where I am. Every time you make a better choice than yesterday, you prove to yourself that you are capable of growth. That you are in control. That you are becoming stronger, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Because real change begins quietly. It happens in the moments no one sees. In the decisions made behind closed doors. In the way you choose to respond to discomfort, fatigue, or doubt, not with surrender, but with persistence. That's where your future self is being built. Why consistency beats intensity every time. We live in a world obsessed with intensity. People chase extreme diets, intense workout routines, all-or-nothing goals. They throw everything into a short burst of effort, hoping for fast results. And then, when the burnout hits, they give up. But here's the truth, consistency beats intensity. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in 1 week to make progress. You don't need to push yourself to exhaustion to prove you're committed. You don't need to wait for motivation to strike before taking action. What you need is to keep going, every day, even if only a little. A 5-minute walk is still movement. A single page written is still progress. One deep breath taken with intention is still mindfulness. Small actions, done consistently, lead to massive results. Think of it like compound interest. Each small win adds up, and over time, the effect multiplies. What once felt difficult becomes routine. What once seemed impossible becomes normal. And suddenly, you've changed. Not because you did something extraordinary, but because you kept doing the ordinary things, every single day. How small wins build strength from within. You might not notice it at first. But each small win strengthens your belief in yourself. When you commit to a simple habit and stick with it, even when you don't feel like it, you train your brain to trust you. You start to believe that you can follow through. That you can handle discomfort. That you can keep your word to yourself. That kind of internal confidence is unshakable. It doesn't come from external validation. It comes from knowing that you showed up when it would have been easier to quit. That you chose growth over comfort. That you built something real, one quiet victory at a time. And that kind of strength lasts. It doesn't fade when things get hard. It grows. Because now, you know what you're capable of. Practical ways to stack small wins daily. Building consistency doesn't require complicated systems or grand gestures. It requires awareness, intention, and repetition. Here are practical ways to start stacking small wins today. 1. Choose one thing and do it every day. Pick one small action that supports your goal. Maybe it's making your bed. Drinking a glass of water first thing. Writing down one thing you're grateful for. Whatever it is, do it every single day for 30 days. Then build from there. 2. Track your progress. Write down each small win. Whether in a journal, on a calendar, or in a simple checklist, seeing your progress builds momentum and keeps you accountable. 3. Celebrate every win. Don't minimize small achievements. Celebrate them. Acknowledge that you showed up. That you made a better choice. That you moved forward, even if just an inch. 4. Make it easy to succeed. Set yourself up for success by removing friction. If you want to drink more water, keep a bottle on your desk. If you want to read more, leave a book next to your bed. Make the right choice the easiest one. 5. Link habits together. Use existing habits as triggers for new ones. For example, after brushing your teeth, existing habit, Do 3 minutes of stretching, new habit. Pairing makes consistency easier. 6. Be kind to yourself. If you miss a day, don't punish yourself. Just return to the habit the next day. Progress is about direction, not perfection. Final thought, keep going, even when you don't feel it yet. There will be days when you wonder if any of this matters. Days when nothing feels different. Days when you question whether these small efforts are really worth it. But remember, the strongest trees grow from the tiniest seeds. The tallest mountains were once grains of sand. The most powerful habits started as a single decision. You are building something meaningful, one small win at a time. So keep going. Even when you don't feel stronger yet. Even when the results aren't visible. Even when no one else sees what you're doing. Because you are changing. You are growing. You are becoming. And one day soon, you'll look back and realize how far you've come, not because of one big moment, but because of all the small ones you never stopped doing. Keep stacking those quiet victories. Because consistency builds strength. And you're proving it every single day. Chapter 10. Keep leveling up until you no longer recognize yourself. You don't reach the next level of your life by staying the same. You get there by doing the work. By showing up when it's hard. By pushing beyond who you used to be, even when no one else notices. Leveling up means refusing to settle. It means knowing that comfort is where most people get stuck. That safety zones are often stagnation zones. That if you want something greater, you must become greater. Because growth doesn't come from waiting. It comes from choosing, every single day, to become more than you were yesterday. Keep improving. Keep pushing. Keep raising your standards. Because growth creates separation from old habits. From old versions of yourself. From anything that no longer serves who you're becoming. And one day, you'll look in the mirror and barely recognize who you've become, in the best way possible. That's the goal. To become someone you can trust. Someone who keeps going, no matter what. The truth about reaching new levels. Most people believe they need a perfect plan, the right timing, or a big opportunity before they can change their lives. But real leveling up doesn't start with external conditions, it starts within. It begins with the decision to grow long after the excitement fades. Long after the motivation wears off. Long after the initial rush of inspiration is gone. Because here's the truth. Real growth happens in the quiet moments. In the choices made behind closed doors. In the discipline of showing up again and again, even when no one is watching. You don't become someone new overnight. You become someone new through relentless consistency. Through daily decisions that build into unstoppable momentum. And eventually, those choices shape a person you could never have imagined becoming, just a few months or years ago. Why most people stay stuck? People stay stuck not because they lack potential, but because they stop growing. They reach a point where things feel good enough. They find a rhythm that works, and they hold on to it for dear life. They stop challenging themselves. Stop asking hard questions. Stop pushing past discomfort. And over time, they forget what it felt like to strive for something bigger. That's how people get trapped in lives they never truly wanted. Not because they failed, but because they stopped moving forward. Because growth isn't optional if you want to live fully. If you want to break free from old patterns, from limiting beliefs, from the cycle of regret, you must keep evolving. You must keep leveling up. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it feels slow. Even when it seems like nothing is changing. Because every small step forward builds into a massive leap over time. How to level up every area of your life. Leveling up isn't about perfection. It's about progression. It's about making better choices today than you did yesterday. It's about learning, adapting, and growing, constantly. Here are practical ways to begin leveling up your life, starting now. 1. Raise your standards. Who you are is a reflection of what you accept. If you want to become more, raise your expectations, not just of others, but of yourself. Stop settling for half efforts. Stop allowing distractions to rule your time. Stop giving in to laziness, excuses, or fear. Demand more from yourself. Not out of punishment, but out of respect for your potential. 2. Surround yourself with growth-oriented people. You become like the people you spend the most time with. Choose carefully. Seek out people who challenge you, who push you, who inspire you to be better. Distance yourself from those who drain your energy, complain endlessly, or discourage progress. Growth thrives in environments that support it. 3. Invest in learning and self-development. The moment you stop learning is the moment you stop growing. Read books. Listen to podcasts. Take courses. Engage in conversations that expand your thinking. Knowledge is power, but only when applied. So learn something new, then do something with it. 4. Embrace discomfort as a sign of growth. Comfort is not the enemy of success, it's the enemy of growth. When you feel resistance, that's not a sign to stop. It's a sign that you're on the edge of something meaningful. Lean into discomfort. Walk through it. Learn from it. Because that's where your next level waits. 5. Review and reflect regularly. Don't just move through life, review it. Take time each week to reflect. What worked? What didn't? What can I improve? Who am I becoming? This kind of awareness accelerates growth and keeps you aligned with your goals. 6. Let go of who you used to be. Growth requires shedding old identities. You are not who you were last year. Or 5 years ago. Or 10. And that's a good thing. Hold on too tightly to who you used to be, and you limit who you can become. Be willing to let go of outdated beliefs, behaviors, and relationships. Make space for evolution. Because the person you're becoming deserves room to breathe. Final thought, become someone you can trust. One day, you'll look back and realize you've changed. You won't recognize the person you used to be. The fears that once held you back. The habits that once controlled you. The mindset that once limited you. All of it will seem distant, like a memory from another life. And that's not a loss. That's a win. Because that means you've done the work. That you kept going. That you refused to give up on yourself. That's what leveling up really looks like. Not just achieving more, but becoming more. So keep going. Keep growing. Keep pushing past who you were. Because the best version of yourself is still waiting to be discovered. And you're the only one who can bring them to life. Conclusion. Keep moving forward, one step at a time. This journey wasn't meant to be easy. It was meant to be worth it. You didn't come this far to turn back now. You came to rise. To rebuild. To become someone stronger, wiser, and more disciplined than you were yesterday. Every chapter in this book was a step forward. Every lesson was a chance to grow. And if you've made it this far, reading, reflecting, maybe even journaling or making changes, you've already proven something powerful. You are capable of more than you thought possible. That's not just encouragement. That's truth. Because real change doesn't begin with dramatic moments, it begins with quiet decisions. With choosing to face the truth instead of running from it. With removing distractions, building habits, and showing up even when nothing feels good. With learning to trust yourself. With refusing to settle. With committing to level up every single day. The journey never ends. There will always be another level. Another habit to build. Another mindset shift to make. Another version of yourself waiting to be born. Growth isn't a destination. It's a direction. A way of living. A daily commitment to becoming better, not because you're broken, but because you believe in who you can become. So don't look for an ending. Look for evolution. Look for progress, not perfection. Because perfection is an illusion that keeps people stuck. But progress? Progress builds momentum. Momentum builds results. Results build confidence. And confidence builds a life you're proud to live. What you've built so far. Let's pause for a moment and reflect on what you've already accomplished. You've faced the truth about where you are and chosen to do something about it. You've removed distractions that kept you small and refocused your energy on what matters. You've taken control of your mornings and started shaping your days with intention. You've identified and replaced the habits that were holding you back. You've done the hard things you used to avoid and proven your strength to yourself. You've built structure into your life and followed through, even when it wasn't easy. You've trained your mindset like a muscle and strengthened your inner world. You've shown up on the hardest days and honored your commitments to yourself. You've stacked small wins until they became unstoppable momentum. And now, you're committed to leveling up until you no longer recognize the person you used to be, in the best way possible. That's not just growth. That's transformation. Keep going, because it's worth it. The road ahead won't always be smooth. There will still be setbacks. There will still be days when you doubt yourself. Days when motivation fades. Days when everything feels harder than it should. But now, you have the tools. You have the mindset. You have the discipline. And most importantly, you have the choice. You can choose to keep going. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because you know that every step forward counts. That every effort adds up. That every decision you make shapes the life you're building. So stay consistent. Stay focused. Keep leveling up. And remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep moving forward. One step at a time. One day at a time. One better choice at a time. Because that's how you rise. That's how you grow. That's how you become the person you were always meant to be. Now go out there and start living as that person. Your story isn't finished. Keep writing it.